Alright, hello, it's me again, and today this is the second episode of my cancer story. So yesterday I talked about just the overview of everything and what's happening, but today what I said I'd do is I'd break it up into smaller parts. So today this is the beginning. This is how I found out about it and how it got bigger and bigger. So it all started. I think I was 60 or no, I was 15 years old, and I was just taking a shower, just showering, cleaning myself, and just noticed there was a tiny lump. There was a tiny lump in my. I said I can't remember. It was the right testicle, and I was cleaning away at it. I realized it. Didn't really. I did realize it, but I didn't take much from it. So I went away and I left it for about 2 days. But then I realized that it did definitely get bigger. It had gotten bigger. So I was like, fuck no, I'm gonna have to tell my parents. I have to tell them, or else I'm gonna be something bad might happen. Because I've heard about cancer before. I actually used to be scared of it, but now I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna have to tell them. I'm gonna have to tell them. So I told them. I said, here, look, there's a tiny lump in my ball, and I need to get it checked. I think. And they were like, yeah, grand, no bother. Went to get it checked in the GP, in my local GP, and she examined it and she was like, okay, right, you need to go to a hospital like right now to get it checked. And we couldn't do it because it was late. It was about late. It was about nearly. It was 5 o'clock. That's when the GP closes. So she couldn't like send me off immediately. It was the next morning. I had to get it checked. But as I got home after GP, I was scared. Like I was kind of like, okay, why does she have such a bad reaction to it? And so I remember I love hurling and football. It's the GA sport, it's big, the big stars, the Cork, Tipperary, Kilkenny, all them. There's big stars playing for them, and I remember I was nervous. My dad kind of told me, he was like, yeah, sure, there was that one Cork player there. He had testicular cancer as well, and he got his ball removed, but he still played, and he still played for Cork. It kind of calmed me down. I just remember that. I remember when my dad told me that. It kind of calmed me down. I relaxed a little. I was like, grand, okay. So then morning, it was about 7 o'clock in the morning. We had to go to the Mercy Hospital. I mentioned that in my last video. The Mercy. This is the first hospital I properly went to know about all this. And I went up and I remember my mom brought tissues. I was like, oh, why'd you bring tissues? Like she thought she was expecting the worst. So we went up anyway, and after about an hour or two wait, the guy told us what it was. He just said, no, no, it's just an infection, relax, kind of way. We're like, oh, perfect, grand, grand. So he gave me these antibiotics to take, and I was like, grand, perfect, no bother, grand, I'll just take them. The thing should go down, because it wasn't really interfering with anything at this stage. It was only about that big, I suppose. Um, but then over the coming weeks, now I just got on with my life, played away at hurling, went to school. But after a while, I realised that it had not gone down at all. It had gotten much bigger, actually. Um, and I just didn't. I was like, kind of like, he already told me it's an infection. Like, so what else can I do? But it was getting like, I say now, it was the size of a golf ball, and I could feel it properly. It's like, all right, I'm gonna have to go back and tell him that the antibiotics aren't working. Went back again to the Mercy, but it wasn't the same fella. But he knew me anyway. But it wasn't the same fella. It was a different fella this time. And he examined me and he said, "No, it's just an infection. It's here. Look, I'll give you these now. That they just didn't work." I was like, "Okay, grand." He gave them to me anyway. I took them, but I was really like conscious this time, because I knew they didn't work last time. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this. And if it doesn't go down after a week and a half or 2 weeks, I'm gonna have to. This is something wrong. So there's something wrong. So I went down with my life anyway, and I went down with my life for that week and a half, and it just would not go down. It was not going down. I thought it was at one stage, like, oh, perfect, but no, it actually wasn't. It was getting bigger and bigger. So I went again, and they never really gave me an explanation of how this happened. So this time I was with a girl, but it was still being all run under this fella, and I went to this girl, and she checked me out again. She goes, look, it's not only an infection, okay. So she told me what's happening. She told me, I can't remember it at all how it worked, but I was so convinced. I was like, actually, that makes sense. That it has to be an infection, but it wasn't. but I didn't know that. But the way she gave it to me, I was so convinced that I am grand. There's nothing. So yeah, that happened, and I just felt a lot better. She said, "Oh, the medicine we're giving you wasn't right, so we'll give you these now." I was like, okay, so all it was wrong medicine. That's grand. Here we go. Now it'll get better. Now this is where everything went back. So I left it for about a month this time, and it had grown massive. It was the size of an apple now, which I mentioned in the last video. It was an apple sized in my ball. My ball was the size of an apple, or not? Yeah, a size of an apple, and I didn't know what to do. I remember going to a ball in fourth year, fourth year TY, transition year. That's what it's called. That's what's called in Ireland. And I had to dress in a suit kind of way, and the ball, my ball, you could see it coming out through the tight pants. You could see it down, getting bigger, and people noticed, like, what the hell is that? What's going on? Like, what's down there? What you have down there? And they were drunk, and I was just making up stupid jokes. I wasn't drinking that night, and I was getting extremely nervous because they were pointing it out like it's so obvious it's there. I was like, oh fuck. And then the next day, I was kind of like, but she did describe it well. Maybe she was not giving me the right medicine. But then I remember my mom. My mom was always curious about this, so she goes, "Look, we can't do this anymore. It's massive. We can't, like, physically. It started to intervene now with hurling and football, because I had to wear a cup, which you don't have to wear for hurling and football, but I had to, and it makes my legs so uncomfortable, and I couldn't run as much. Um, so then I had to go. We said, look, we're gonna have to go somewhere else. So this guy, this doctor that just would not diagnose me. He just kept sending me away. He didn't do it every time, but he was the one in charge of it. And so that was in the Mercy. So then now we went to the matter private in Mahon. A very nice guy, this fella. Oh, the other guy was nice too, but he just didn't. I don't know. I don't think he knew what he was doing. Went to this fella. He took one look of it. He goes, "Oh, no. Why didn't she get this checked out before? No. What are you doing? Why didn't she get this checked out?" And my immediate reaction was like, "Oh my God, no way." And he was like, "Why didn't she? It's grown massive. Why didn't she get it removed?" Like, he obviously couldn't tell it was cancer. You can't just tell it was cancerous by looking at it. But he was like, "That's not normal." And so we were like, "Oh, what do we do?" Okay, he goes, "Okay, in a week's time, I'm gonna need the surgery to open you up and check your testicle." Like, he said, "I'm not gonna remove it because I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna take a tiny part so it can be put into a lab, and we can tell if it's cancer or not." And when he said the operation, I never had ever gone something like this before. Like, I'd never broken my foot, or I'd never broken anything to get surgery. I've never been knocked out. I hadn't been drinking then, so I didn't know what it was like to, like, black out or whatever. The close was just sleeping. So he told me that, and I was like, "Oh my God." Well, no, you know what? He gave me an offer. He said, "You want this? We can do. There's a slot tomorrow if you want to do it, or in a week." And I said, "No, Mom, I have to. I have to mentally prepare myself for this." So she said, "Graham, we'll do it in a week." And it was probably the worst decision ever to wait that week, because I was just anxious the entire time. I remember I was going out with my girlfriend back then. We've been going out ever since. Like, it's a long time. But back then, and her sister's boyfriend actually went through the same thing. Never talked to him before in my life. I think I've only talked to her sister once back then. Didn't know this guy. He didn't know me. But he's very nice. He's much older than me, but he's very nice. He rang me and he told me what it's like. And I was like, "Oh, I'm just nervous about getting knocked out, really. I don't think this guy's supposed to be a really good surgeon, so I'm not going to worry about that." So yeah, and he told me what's going to happen and what it feels like. He said it's a brilliant feeling, and I was like, "All right, grand, fair enough." And yeah, that was that. After that call, then it was just a matter of time before getting the surgery. So that's the beginning of my story. That's how I came across finding it, and how it had grown to an apple sized, and how the doctors just did not know what to do. And what I would advise, if this has happened to anyone else ever, get that second opinion as fast as you can. If Mom had not tried to go for the second opinion, don't know what could have happened. It could have been a lot worse. I could have died. You know, I don't know why I keep saying that, but it's just the truth of it all. Like, that's what it is. So that's what I'd advise. If you think something's up and you don't think the doctor is doing okay, get a second opinion. Doesn't matter how much it costs. You know, just try and get it. All right. So that's that. That's the beginning. Thank you all for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow with the rest of the story. Thank you.